everyone, today I will show you how to knit this popular mask on the Passap. Make sure the racking handle is in its lowest position. Raise 140 needles on the front bed, 70 needles to the left of the zero and 70 to the right. I'm raising the needles all the way up because it's easier for me to see them. Place the edge springs on the last needles. Use the orange ruler to arrange the needles in 1-to-1 division. Then move the right edge spring onto the last working needle and make sure the latch is closed. Now the needles on the front bed must be arranged like this. Use the orange ruler and raise 140 needles on the back bed of the machine. Place the edge springs on the last needles. Don't leave the needles raised all the way. Arrange the needles on the back bed in 1-to-1 division. Move the left edge spring onto the last needle and make sure the latch is closed. Notice that the leftmost working needle is on the front bed and the rightmost working needle is on the back bed of the machine. Rotate the racking handle anti-clockwise to its upper position. It should look like this. Insert the orange strippers and take the yarn. I will use black cotton yarn to make the mask. Set the front lock to N and the stitch size to 2. Set the back lock the same way, the lever to N and the stitch size to 2. Knit 1 row. This is the zigzag row, it should look like this. Set the front lock to CX and increase the stitch size to 3. Set the same settings on the back lock, CX and stitch size 3. Knit 2 rows. It should look like this. Move the lever to N and increase the stitch size to 4. Set the back lock the same way. Knit 1 row to finish the cast on. Clear the row counter and increase the stitch size to 5 on both sides of the lock. Now you have to knit 90 rows to make the lower part. According to the original video you have to knit 120 rows, so now I'm knitting 120 rows. But at the end the mask became too long and to wear it I have to fold the lower part. So if you're using 300 tex cotton yarn, knit only 90 rows. Take the double-eye bodkin tool and thread it with contrasting color yarn. Pick all the stitches starting from the 30th needle on the right all the way to the 30th needle on the left. The 30th needle at the right must be on the back bed of the machine. In other words, the 30th needle on the back bed must be opposite to the 30th needle on the front bed because the racking handle is in its upper position. Take all the stitches until you reach the 30th needle to the right on the front bed of the machine. It must be the last one which you have to take. Take the yarn tails and push them between the beds. It should look like this. Take weights and attach them to the middle of the hanging piece. It must be away from the needles. Take the orange ruler and raise the empty needles on both beds in 1-to-1 division. Now you can see again up close. Knit 70 rows without changing the settings. In the beginning, knit slowly and carefully. After knitting the first few rows, check for skipped stitches. Rotate the racking handle one full turn anti-clockwise. It must be in its upper position. All working needles must be opposite to each other. Take the double-eye bodkin tool and transfer all the stitches to the opposite needles on the back bed. Use the orange ruler and make sure all the needles on the front bed are out of working position. It should look like this. Remove the orange strippers and insert the black ones. Set the front lock to GX. We will knit only on the back bed. On the back lock, increase the stitch size to 6.5. Knit 2 rows. After knitting the first row, stop and check for dropped stitches. If everything is fine, knit the second row. Check for dropped stitches again. Clear the row counter. it should look like this. You have to transfer every other stitch starting from the leftmost stitch. From left to right, pick the very first stitch and transfer it to the next one on the right. Then pick the third stitch and transfer it to the fourth, and continue until you transfer all the stitches the same way. After each needle in working position, there must be 3 empty needles out of working position. Use the orange ruler and put all the empty needles out of working position. Now you can see the needles up close. Knit 2 rows slowly and carefully without changing the settings. Now it should look like this. Cut the yarn from the lock. Pull the knob to lower the front bed. Take the yarn from the spool and cut a piece about 4 times longer than the width of the mask. Thread the long yarn piece in the double-end bodkin tool. Remove the edge springs and start taking the stitches one by one. Start from the rightmost stitch, then take all the stitches to the left. When you take the last stitch, the mask will fall from the machine. So this is the cast off, and this is how the knitted piece should look like. At this point we have to finish the edge of the hole. Take a needle and thread it with a long piece of the same color yarn. As you can see, there are loops around the edge of the hole. You need to use the back stitch to make a good looking edge. Pass the needle through one of the loops and pull it out from the third one. Insert the needle into the second loop and pull it out from the fourth one. Insert the needle into the third loop and pull it out from the fifth one. Then pass the needle through the fourth loop and pull it out from the sixth one. To explain it better, I will use a few pictures. When you make the top part of the hole, you have to continue the same way until you reach the tail at the beginning. It's easier to make the bottom part of the hole because you can see the stitches better. After every stitch you have to pull out the contrasting color yarn. Here, as you can see, I'm taking the last stitch from the bottom part of the mask. I will continue until I reach the yarn tail. In other words, I'm making a full circle around the edge of the hole. Tie both yarn tails together. Tap few times gently on the knot to hide it. Weave the tails in between the stitches and cut them short. This is the result. We've made a very nice edge. Split the hanging threads on top. The single one is from the cast off and the others are from the yarn on which we picked the stitches. Leave the cast off thread aside and pull the other 4. With your other hand push the head to shrink, exactly as a drawstring back. Use the yarn tails to make a few tight knots on top of the mask. Cut the tails short and weave them in between the stitches. Now I'm hiding the second tail and the cast off thread all at once. If you can feel the knot, you can gently tap on it few times. This is how the top should look like. Now we have to fold the mask so the right side is inside and sew the sides using the invisible seam. I will use the cast-on thread to sew the sides. Pass the needle through the very last stitch in the corner. Then sew it all the way to the top. On both sides there are loops and knots. If you look carefully you can see them. A loop, then a knot, a loop, then a knot. Pass the needle through the first loop, around the knot and through the next loop. Then repeat the same on the other side. I can't explain it better, so hope you can see everything. You have to pick 2 loops on each side. When you get used to it, you can take multiple stitches at once. hide the yarn tail somewhere at the top. It should look like this. Now I will turn it inside out so the right side is facing me. And this is how the seam should look like. It's completely invisible. Of course, I need to practice more to do it without any mistakes, but I will fix them later. Now let's see the final result. If the hoe is too big, you can sew a few stitches at both ends to make it smaller. Also, you can split the hoe by making a few stitches in the middle, so you will have two holes for the eyes instead of one big hoe. That's all for today. Have a nice day and see you in my next video.